Now, when did the European Union come into existence? It came into existence in 1993 with the Maastricht Treaty. Keep that in mind because it fits exactly with the next point I'm going to make. Now, the beast which comes up out of the sea not only has 10 horns, okay? It not only has the expanse or reach of the Roman Empire, but it also has 7 heads. The Roman Empire, described by Daniel, did not have those 7 heads. And the reason is because the 7 heads have a particular application to the final days and the beast which comes up out of the sea, the revived Roman Empire, the EU, if you will, which we're going to see. Now, what are the 7 heads? Well, we learn, again, in Apocalypse chapter 17, what exactly the 7 heads are. In Apocalypse 17, verse 9, we read this, quote, "And here is the understanding that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, upon which the woman sitteth, and they are 7 kings." Unquote. So we learn that the 7 heads are 7 mountains, and the 7 mountains, most commentators understand, are Rome. The evidence is overwhelming, because it also says Babylon sits upon those 7 mountains. And St. Peter, writing from Rome in 1 Peter 5:13, says cryptically that it's Babylon. So Apocalypse 17:9 says the 7 heads are 7 mountains, meaning Rome, and they are also 7 kings. There's a duality there. So it's telling you that this beast has 7 heads that have to do with Rome and 7 kings. Now, what are the 7 kings? The 7 kings, we are told, are affiliated with the 7 mountains. Now, a king is a ruler. In 1929, the Vatican became a sovereign state. It became the Vatican city-state with the Lateran Treaty in 1929. And so starting in 1929, the popes not only were heads of the Catholic Church, for example, Pope Pius XI, who was pope in 1929, he not only therefore was head of the Catholic Church, spiritual ruler of the Church, but he had temporal authority as king of the Vatican city-state. Now, what's so interesting about this is that prior to 1929, popes had no temporal authority. It's true that back in history, popes would rule over what were called the papal states, and so popes who ruled over the papal states could have been said to have been kings as well. However, in 1870, Italy declared war on the papal states and captured Rome, and this occurred on September 20th, 1870, and Rome was annexed to the Kingdom of Italy, and the papal states fell in 1870. And so from 1870 to 1929, the popes had no temporal authority. They were not kings in terms of secular kings at all. And so with the Lateran Treaty and the creation of the Vatican city-state, the popes began a fresh start as kings. In fact, the Lateran Treaty of 1929, which brought the Vatican city-state into existence, spoke of it as a new creation, not as a continuation of the previous papal states. So it is absolutely true that the kingship which the popes received with the Lateran Treaty and the Vatican city-state starting in 1929 was an entirely new kingship which they had never received before in history. It was unique, and as we mentioned, they had no kingship at all for about 60 years prior to 1929. So it was clearly a signal of something new. A new kingship within the city of 7 hills. Now, if Pope Pius XI is the first king, and Pius XII is the second king, and John the 23rd is the third king, and Paul VI is the fourth king, and John Paul I is the fifth king, and John Paul II is the sixth king, and Benedict XVI is the seventh king, and the EU is the beast out of the sea, whose heads are, on some level, these kings, then we should get some indication that the European Union, which I'm saying is the beast out of the sea, came into existence during the reign of the sixth king, because it was created in 1993 during the reign of the sixth king. Well, in Apocalypse chapter 17, verses 9 and 10, we are given that very indication. Quote, And here is the understanding that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, upon which the woman sitteth, and they are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he is come, he must remain a short time. And the beast which was and is not, the same also is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into destruction. End quote. St. John writes that the angel told him that the beast would come into existence during the reign of the 6th king, when 5 of the kings are fallen. And we know that he's telling us that the beast will come into existence after the 5 are fallen, because it says in Apocalypse 17:8 and following, quote, "The beast which thou sawest was and is not, and shall come up out of the bottomless pit. 5 are fallen, 1 is," etc. Or another translation has it, "The beast which thou sawest was and is not, it is about to come out of the bottomless pit." And here is the understanding that hath wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains, upon which the woman sitteth, and they are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other is not yet come. So he's clearly saying he's taking you to the point in time right before the beast comes into existence. It is about to come. It shall come. He's taking you, he's transporting you to that time, and he's saying this is the time when 5 are fallen and 1 is. And so immediately the beast is about to come. That means that the beast comes into existence during the reign of the 6th king, when 5 are fallen. That fits exactly with the European Union, which came into existence in 1993. That's when the treaty which made it a reality took effect during the reign of John Paul II, the 6th king. Now, there's much more to discuss. It goes on to say that 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other is not yet come. That's the 7th king. That's Benedict the 16th. And when he is come, he must remain a short time. And so if this is correct, it's saying that the 7th king will remain a short time, compared to perhaps a much longer reign of the 6th king. And it goes on to say, "And the beast which was and is not," and it's referring again to the Roman Empire, the beast which Daniel saw, which persecuted the church, killed the saints, killed the Catholics. The beast which was and is not, because again, he's transported to the point of time right before the European Union comes into existence. So it is not. The Roman Empire is not anymore either. The same also is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into destruction. The Roman Empire, he's telling you, is coming back into a new form. It's a new kind of Roman Empire. It's not exactly the same, but it has many of the same features, as we will see. It's a new kind of Roman Empire, a new kind of pagan empire, which persecutes the church in a different kind of way, is godless, is Antichrist. And it says, "The same also is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into destruction." Now, what does that mean? It tells you that the 7 kings are affiliated with the 7 mountains, Rome, okay? The Lateran Treaty gave the popes and the post-Vatican II anti-popes a temporal kingship. And so they are the 7 kings. But it says that the beast is the 8th, but is of the 7. The beast, the European Union, is the 8th king of Rome because the Vatican city-state is ultimately at the mercy of the larger European Union and the surrounding powers. And so even though they have a kingship to speak of, in reality, the European Union is the king of all the member states. And the Vatican's kingdom rests within Italy, which is part of the European Union. And the European Union determines the laws for the member states. It determines fiscal and economic policy for the members of its Eurozone. And so even though the Vatican isn't part of the European Union, it is at the mercy of it. In fact, the Vatican is part of the Eurozone, the European Union's economic union. And therefore the European Union determines how much money the Vatican can issue. And so the European Union, the beast itself, is in fact the eighth king. But there's much more, not only to say about the beast, which is the new kind of Roman Empire, the European Union, but also the individuals ruling Rome at the time of the existence of the beast, the sixth and seventh king. Because the beast is not only manifested in the empire, but also in the emperor figure, as we will see.